fellow Canadian reptile girl. I'm Annaliese, and I sleep upside down like a bat. Summertime is a great time to build new enclosures. You can do all the foaming and siliconing and painting outside without worrying about the horrible fumes filling your home. But over the winter, the cold temperatures prevent the various stuff from drying or setting properly. At least where I live. So this is when we do our freshening up of existing enclosures, and boy, do some of mine really need it. My friends at Exo-Terra gave me some awesome new stuff to put in my enclosures that I think my reptiles are going to love. So let's go tear down and refresh some homes, yeah? So today we are going to be starting with my two Red Footed Tortoises as an enclosure. There are too many S's in that, but I don't care. They share an enclosure, and this is Agatha, and this little one is Poe. I did a video on the build for this enclosure some time ago, and you can watch it here. It's actually a raised garden bed that we built a floor for and filled with dirt, and it works really well. Although this really is only their home for the winter. In the summer, this is more of a bedroom, as these guys are outside in their backyard paddock most of the day once the weather is warm enough. Enlarging that paddock is something that I'll be doing and working on in the spring, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when that video comes out. Anyway, this looked amazing when it was first built. I'm assuming there's B-roll here. It was all very hilly and contoured, but as you can see now, it has been stomped flat, and many plants have been sacrificed to Agatha's parkour training regiment and her bulldozing nature, as you can see her showing off expertly right now. It's pretty sad looking, I'm embarrassed to say. So we're going to be freshening up the soil, adding some new climbing bits, and upgrading the hidey spots, and obviously get some new enrichment items in there. First thing I need to do is get all of this stuff out of there. First thing I needed to do was get all of this stuff out of there. Editor? Where's my B-roll? What? Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Thank you, that's better. Ugh. Honestly, it's hard to get good help these days. The first thing is to get all of this out of here. The rocks, logs, hides, everything must go. Then we loosen up the soil just a bit to see how much I've got in there and how much neuter needs to be added, you know? Once we get all of that set up, we can focus on what goes where. Red-footed tortoises make wonderful pets who will be with you for a long time. A seriously long time. Agatha and Poe are actually my mom's and will probably outlive both of my parents, so they'll be mine eventually. While not too difficult to care for, there are a few things that are important to know and should be considered when setting up your tortoise's home. Without proper nutrition, tortoises are prone to some pretty serious malformations in their shells called pyramiding. So while many tortoises will happily climb, break, or bulldoze anything in their way in order to eat whatever you put in front of their tiny little faces, you need to make sure it's the right food for them. Green leafy veggies are a staple for red-footed tortoises, but did you know that they are also one of the few tortoise species that need fruit and protein as part of their diet to keep them healthy? There's a video on nutrition and it goes all over the information you need about the oxalates and the calcium to phosphate ratio you just need to be aware of. Because they will eat just about anything, you need to be careful about any live plants you put in their enclosure. Some common houseplants can be toxic. So just make sure that the plant is safe because they will eat it, and if they don't eat it, they'll stomp it into the dirt. You're going to be replacing some plants. Oh, and don't try to be cute and use fake plants. They'll eat those too. And that's obviously bad. Don't let them do that.
UVB. They need this 100%, no exception. It is critical to their health. Sunlight is the best light for UVB, which is why I keep mine outside for much of the summer, which is clearly not now. I can see my breath. For their inside home, there's a 4-foot UVB tube mounted underneath their shelf, and the basking bulb is a mercury vapor UVB heat bulb. Anytime you are using UVB, make sure you are using the right intensity bulb for your animal given the distance the light will be from them. So the placement of the lights will ensure proper exposure.
Exercise and enrichment. These guys are active and always stomping about. You might think that all this activity would cover their fitness needs, but not always. For optimum fitness, they need to be climbing, not like up trees or telephone poles.
What the f is a turtle doing up a telephone pole? How the f?
Like smallish obstacles. Hills, climbing up and over branches, rocks, all of that stuff. Changes in elevation. Those changes help strengthen their wee little legs. Without this type of exercise, your tortoise may end up having weak muscles and have difficulty holding themselves up off of the ground, particularly with their back legs. Or they can get fatigued easily. Take a few steps, settle. Take a few more, and so on. What you want is to see them walking nice and high on their legs. Give them hills to climb, and you'll see just that. Hydration. Proper humidity is important for any reptile's overall health, but for redfoots, it's also important in avoiding pyramiding. Most tortoise species can't swim, but in the wild, redfoots will swim across rivers and lakes to get to new foraging areas. They, along with the closely related yellow-footed tortoises, are actually great swimmers for a tortoise, so regular baths are also a great way to keep them hydrated. Though, regardless of how often you bathe them, it's important that their home has enough humidity, so a fogger and regular spraying, of course, but it's also very important to ensure that where they hunker down for the night stays nice and humid without getting too moldy. So plan for that too. Can we stop now? I feel like I'm committing a crime. Okay, so to set this up properly, I need a spot for food and water, obviously. We need to make sure it affords them climbing opportunities, hills, valleys, stuff for exercise, that is too. It has to allow for proper humidity. It needs to be set up to ensure that they get all of the UVB they're going to need to make it to a healthy, ripe old age, and maybe some safe plants. We'll see. Okay. Got me a plan here. So let's go get started. Okay. The plan is to have the food and water on a raised area over here. If they want to eat, and they always do, they need to do and put in some work to get to it. What?
Why are you pointing so high up?
First, because I'm assuming I'm gonna put it away for this because it's gonna be a conversation. Just slam that back down. First, I don't want to have to keyframe my hands. If I go any lower, I'm going to need to keyframe stuff. And do you know how much work that is for my little fingers?
Okay.
And secondly, whenever I point or gesture, I was like, oh, this is obviously going to make it into the shot. Yeah, this is definitely high enough. And then it gets resized and, oh, my wrists are cut off.
Got it.
So I'm making sure I'm well above the cutoff point.
Okay.
By gesturing from up here.
Got it. Continue.
Thank you. Now, where was I? Anyways, if they want to eat, and they always do, they're going to need to put in a bit more work. Now, they always seem to have this bad habit of dragging dirt into their water dishes and food dishes, and I have a plan that I think might help to mitigate that a bit. You'll see. Hides are going to be over here, and since Agatha loves to climb her hide and deliberately face plant off of it, I'll make sure she can still use this for her odd choice of what passes for fun. I want to have another raised obstacle here, again, so Agatha can climb on and throw herself off. I want to give her a safe place to do this and help keep her underneath the UVB, which will be under the shelf, too. And I'll have to figure out plants. Let's mix up some dirt and start filling this thing in. So usually what I do is I buy this big bag of compressed cocoa fiber substrate, and it works great, except that all of the pieces in that are uniform size and kind of texture, shape, and that's fine, but it gets compacted really, really easily. And I mean, this dirt's for 2 tortoises who like to stomp, so this is gonna compress super fast if I use that other stuff, the regular cocoa fiber. So what I'm using today is this plantation soil from Exo-Terra. The dirt is different textures and sizes. It's not uniform. There are little sticky bits, there are little stringy bits, there are little chunky bits. It's all a different size, so that means that A, your soil stays fluffier for longer and looks more alive. B, won't compact as easily. I guess that couples with A though, so it's still under A. So the actual B, your soil will stay aerated and your cleanup crew, your isopods, your springtails, or whatever, will be able to move through the soil easier and be able to do a better job and have a better time bugging around. All right, let's get this in there. This This forest moss is from Exo-Terra too. This is a great alternative to sphagnum moss because unlike, and I'll talk a bit more later in the video, but just overall, better for the environment, more sustainable, better. We're putting this in here because this will also help to kind of break up the consistency of the soil. This will help to make sure that, again, it doesn't compact too quickly, and this will also help with moisture retention. Now, the tortoise's current enclosure dries out pretty quickly, so I have to be spraying it pretty regularly, more than I really should have to, because it's a dry enclosure. It's in a dry room of the house, especially in winter. So this should help with that and help it just retain a little bit of moisture for a little longer. So we're going to put a bunch of this in here. It smells really good. Okay, then lastly, we're going to put in some food for the cleanup crew, and that includes a snake shed. This is Romeo's shed. And we're just going to rip this up. And again, this is just kind of food for the cleanup crew. Some leaves. We're just gonna leave. Oh, that's beautiful. That's fall. Okay, and now that we have everything in this bin, it is time to mix it all up. And because this is probably gonna take me like 20 minutes to do, and you don't want to see me just mixing something continuously and struggling and getting covered in dirt for the next 20 minutes, I'll just see you upstairs. I've piled up some dirt in the feeding corner and used some bits of wood as a retaining wall and terrain for them to climb. To keep Agatha from pulling these out, I've anchored them to another hunk of wood and buried it. Okay, so we have the topography and some structure set up. Let's get the hides sorted. This is Agatha's current hide, but it is getting too small, especially now that Poe seems to like to hang out in there too with her on occasion. I take this hide with me to educational shows to demonstrate how big these tortoises are going to get. This big. Anyway, we've got a great big hide for Agatha, courtesy of Exo-Terra. This is the extra large tortoise hide and will be perfect for Agatha and Poe for a long time. Exo-Terra also sent me some forest moss that is perfect to go inside and help with humidity. This stuff is awesome. In the past, I've used sphagnum moss for this purpose, which works really well. It retains lots of moisture, and it doesn't usually get moldy or gross. But harvesting sphagnum moss is not at all great. The issue is that you can only get sphagnum moss from peat bogs, which are important but sensitive ecosystems, and it's also very slow growing, like a couple inches a year slow, and can easily be depleted from an area before it can be replaced. Exo-Terra forest moss, on the other hand, is sustainably farmed in tropical Asia. They grow it in rows in a pristine area that is free of harmful pollutants. Harvesting doesn't involve great big machines turning up a sensitive ecosystem. It's collected by hand with patches of live moss that are left to regrow for a 5 to 10 year period. The moss is sun-dried, compressed into brick form, and then packaged. You soak one of these bricks in a liter of water for at least 15 minutes. There are 2 bricks in each package, by the way, and you're all set. So in total, you'll have 14 liters of moss. Smelly moss. I actually really like how it smells. It's a kind of an earthy smell. Okay, it's not quite pond algae smell, but it's like a rainy garden. Anyway, I like it, you might not, but that's okay. It fades on its own, or you just rinse it through like a colander before you put it in your enclosure, and it'll just rinse the smell right off. This stuff holds moisture just like sphagnum moss. It's cheaper, so much more sustainable and environmentally friendly, and it looks better, but that is just my opinion. In any case, this stuff is awesome and I highly recommend it. And it is going to be perfect as a big, warm, damp bed in Agatha and Poe's hide. Okay, so all done. We got the hides in over here, very warm and cozy by the heat lamp. We've got a long hill here under the UVB tube with safety leap areas and a little cork bark tunnel that they can both scooch through. That and some branchy retaining walls that will hopefully help keep the hill intact. I've used some small logs and rocks to make the ramp over at the food hill area. The idea is that they have this uneven terrain they need to climb for exercise, but, fingers crossed, it will help scrape off any dirt or muck as they move up. Hopefully, this will help keep their water and food area a little cleaner. some grass, and we'll be putting some other plant in that I doubt will last, but meh. Okay, let's see how they like it. This enclosure is great, but I wish I had listened to some advice I got when I first started keeping reptiles, which was get front opening enclosures. They're so much more convenient. You don't have to mess around with the lights on the top. Feeding is easier. You can kind of get into the enclosure and hang out a bit for some socializing time without taking them out. It's better all around. But my dad is cheap, and
The word is frugal.
the word is cheap, and Kijiji has all sorts of top opening enclosures for amounts that my dad wants to pay. But thanks to my patrons, I can buy the enclosures I want, and now that we've learned our lesson, we will be slowly migrating over, 5 or 6 top opening enclosures to front opening. I already have the front opening enclosure for this one. Thank you, Exo-Terra. Not at all related to this video, but thank you guys. This one will probably be the first I do. Let me know if you want to see that. Ooh, maybe I can do a head-to-head build-off against my parents.
No.
Yeah. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But I'm definitely going to start with this one. Anyway, this is fine, I guess. The stuff on the lid is anti-Oscar measures. He's busted through his fair share of enclosures. Another reason why front openings are better. The tops provide more support for that. I really do love the backing and the decor in this tank. The plants are great, and they've started to flourish in this one. And the little hollow log hide back here is awesome, and Jim and Pam will love it. But one of these things is not like the other. This humid hide here is functional, but it doesn't fit with the overall aesthetic, you know? This Barbie dream house hide has got to go, and I'm going to swap it with this large gecko cave from Exo-Terra filled with forest moss, of course. It's cozy, easy to open. Woo. It has a little lip to hold in the moss, and it should be big enough for both snakes. I mean, there's enough room in here for both of them to sit in different corners and not be cuddled up, but they both like to take up about this much room on top of each other, just cuddled up together, so I think this will actually be perfect for them. These guys are often inseparable, so I think it will be perfect. Alright, let's put this in. Okay, is there anyone else we need to check with? Oh, right, the planes. Okay, Exo-Terra provided a few other goodies for my scaly friends. I got something really cool for my plains garter snakes. We were able to take advantage of the sporadic mild days over the fall that we didn't think we were going to be able to have to get this backing built and sealed. This was the tank my Lake Chapala garter snakes originally came to me with, and my mom tore it down and rebuilt this tank with a mushroom theme, which made it perfect for this mushroom hide from Exo-Terra. It's so cute! Look at it! I've added a bit of mossy decor, and I'm very excited to see how it will glow in the dark, because it glows in the dark. But in here, I want to see how it glows in the dark in here. And there's moss inside. I've actually gone back to what my mom built and put some forest moss, everything on the backing too. I think it looks awesome. I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I am going to be using the moss in a lot of future builds. It has worked so great. It looks cool. It feels cool. This might be my new favorite thing to build with, and silicone to the walls. Like many garter species, the plains are social and very cuddly, but not all of them all at the same time. Sometimes they are inseparable. Sometimes one or two will go off on their own and avoid the others for a couple of days. They just like their me time, you know? And I get that. So it is really important to have multiple hides of different sizes so that you can accommodate all of them in one spot. And also have spots that are only really big enough for one. So we've got this mushroom hide here. Ta-da! It looks so cute back there. Okay. We have this crevice up here along the back there. We have a little divot here. I think they're gonna love this. We got bits of cork. There's a hide back there that they actually came with. Like, they've literally had it since they were babies. We have this little mossy hide, and it was looking a bit sad, so we restuffed the moss. Basically, we put on a new roof, and it's looking so good. Look at it. It's so pretty. Lots of options for all sorts of little spots, including this extra large water dish from Exo-Terra. They are going to love being able to swim through this gigantic upgrade and hide underneath it. We'll just put this right there. We have set this up bioactive with a drainage layer, obviously. Substrate is a mix of black earth and Exo-Terra plantation mix. I'm curious to see how it's gonna hold its shape, as these guys do a fair bit of tunneling, but they're also always moving. So yeah. Okay, let's get these guys into their new home. So, what do you think? Did I do a good job of freshening up some of the enclosures? Let me know which one was your favorite. Thanks so much to my friends at Exo-Terra for sponsoring this video and sending me all sorts of awesome stuff that I know my skilly friends are going to love for a long time. Another big thanks as well to my patrons, whose generosity and support helps me care for my animals every day. You guys rock. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. And until next time, remember to nurture all nature. Bye!
Can you look at me? Whoa, Jesus!
Are we still recording?
What the hell was that?
I don't know, but are we still recording?
Yeah.
Do my fans get to see that?
Well, only if you put it in the video.
Well, it will be.
I guess you get to decide, Nikki.
They're so cute! They seem to love it! I'm not there, but I think they do. As they've already settled in. I hope you appreciate what I do for you and for YouTube.